Pooh Shiesty allegedly put an AK to Gucci Mane's head to get off his record deal. Ye finally dropped Bully, debuted at number 2, and the UK banned him the same week. Absol just became KRS-Two. J. Cole did 4 interviews and somehow said 4 different things. And Meek Mill announced that he was leaving social media while posting on social media. This week's hip hop has been chaotic, historic, and genuinely hilarious. Sometimes all at once. I'm Doubl. This is 606 and Go. Let's get into the top 6. Number 6, and I genuinely love this story. Meek Mill announced he was leaving X. Not for Instagram, not for TikTok, for LinkedIn. His bio literally reads, looking into building a business connections aligned with Meek Mill, Dream Chasers, and Bike Life brand. He's listed his skills, which consist of music composition, social media marketing, and in his words, tech ideas, under the tag Meek Millie. He's been posting about a beverage company, AI courses for underserved communities, gaming partnerships, and a documentary about the DVD era. He even posted that he needs J. Cole on his next project on LinkedIn, a public posting for J. Cole. Now here's what I want to give Meek his flowers underneath the laugh. His actual reasoning for leaving X is real. He said the platform has millions of fans trapped in an algorithm that they don't own, surrounded by bots they can't filter, with data they can't access. That's a legitimate critique of the industry, and it's one that most artists haven't had the vocabulary to say out loud. The Philadelphia Inquirer did a whole story on it. LinkedIn users are messaging him to automate his business. He's replying less work to every comment. One more detail, and this is the 606 Go difference right here. Meek said he's been using Claude, the AI, one of the most powerful models out right now, to organize his music and business verticals. He met a tech guy on LinkedIn who showed him the template, said it's moving my business forward at a high rate. So we got Meek on LinkedIn using AI, sliding into tech bros DMs while simultaneously dropping diss tracks at Charlemagne on X, the app that he announced that he was leaving. He never left X. He's still posting there daily, but I'm sure his heart is on LinkedIn now. And honestly, I respect the hustle. And number 5, Boosie Badass. I want to be precise with this because with 606 and Go, we do our homework, or I do my homework. Boosie dropped 4 albums in 2026. That's right, 2026, this year. Not mixtapes, albums, full projects. GOAT 4 on January 2nd. Grown Man Talk with OG Dre on February 14th. Ivana and Pops, a joint album with his daughter Poison Ivy on March 4th. And then most recently, Cadillac Music on March 18th. 58 tracks, 4 projects, all before springtime. Now the internet has jokes, and I get it. But here's what that says about Boosie that I don't think is getting said enough. He's one of the most authentic artists this culture has ever had. Not authentic in the realest rapper alive sense, authentic in the sense of he has never adjusted his output to match what the algorithm wants. No teaser campaigns, no color palette rollout, no 6-month single cycle. He records, he releases, because that's who he is. The Iviana and Pops album is actually significant. Last year, Boosie publicly apologized to his daughter after she called him out for not supporting her music. The joint album is a reconciliation on wax. That's not a content strategy, that's family. Here's the bigger question that raises, and I mean this genuinely. In 2026, when the algorithm rewards constant output and penalizes silence, who actually has the right approach? The artist who drops one album every 3 years and expect the culture to wait? Or the artist who never stops creating and trusts his core to find him? Boosie has 13 studio albums and over 40 mixtapes. Baton Rouge still claims him like he dropped just yesterday. That's not a volume problem. That's loyalty that most artists with one platinum album would trade everything to have. At number 4, J. Cole has been doing press. The Fall Off debuted at number 1 on the Billboard with 280,000 units, a double album, a 73-date world tour starting July 10th, and the press run that the internet has been picking apart for 2 weeks now. 4 interviews, 4 different energies. The Nadeska sit-down on Apple Music, filmed at his childhood home at 2014 Forest Hill Drive, was more introspective, diplomatic, and I would say careful. He talked about the Dreamville Fest apology to Kendrick, and he said it was an idea that hit him 1 hour before he took the stage. Now, he told Nadeska that he felt miserable for days after dropping 7-Minute Drill, a diss that was kind of geared towards Kendrick in the midst of the Drake battle. And he said, I hate to see the world shit on either one of them. But then we flip over and he walked into Cameron's studio on Talk with Flea on Revolt, and the whole tone kind of shifted a little bit. Kind of felt like more of a, I won't say locker room talk, but it felt a little more lax in my opinion. He addressed the lawsuit Cam filed against him over an undelivered verse. Cole admitted that he was hurt, and he said, not you, Cam, not you. Cam did laugh it off and told Cole that he was never going to follow through on that suit. He just wanted to get his attention. And then Cole said something that's still bouncing around in the culture. He called the culture's treatment of Drake's during the Kendrick beef kind of disgusting. Said it became a whole campaign and said you're either like a Democrat or a Republican. You're either a Kendrick fan or you're a Drake fan. And to some extent, I kind of feel him on that. 4 interviews, different rooms, different Cole. A piece came out this week calling it out directly. Every J. Cole interview makes the last one worse. Joe Budden called the whole press run disingenuous. Here's my honest artist and analyst take. Now, I'm thinking about calling it the AA take, just for short. But I don't think Cole is being dishonest. I think he's genuinely navigating a situation that has no clean answer. And different rooms pull out different truths from you. The question isn't which Cole is the real one. I feel like they're all the real one. The question is whether he's comfortable with being public about all versions at the same time. At number 3, Ye dropped Bully on March 28th. 18 tracks, 42 minutes, features consisting of Travis Scott, CeeLo Green, Don Toliver, Peso Pluma, production from James Blake, 88 Keys, the legendary Trackster, and Andre Troutman, who showed up on 10 of the 18 tracks. First week numbers, 152,000 equivalent units, debuted at number 2 on the Billboard 200, 16 of the 18 tracks charted on the Hot 100, and he is signed to Gamma, a record label associated with Sexy Red and Rick Ross. Said Saturday release shortened the track window, and the 7-day number was about over 200,000 actually. Then he went on to do 2 SoFi Stadium shows in Los Angeles on April 1st and 3rd, grossing about $33 million combined. On night 2, he brought out Lauryn Hill. She performed All Falls Down with him, and she even brought out his daughter Northwest as well to perform. That is the album's story, and on those merits alone, that's a comeback. Now here's the rest of the story. On March 30th, 2 days after Bully dropped, Ye was announced as the headliner for all 3 nights of the Wireless Festival in London for July 10th, 11th, and 12th. But by April 7th, 1 week later, the UK Home Office revoked his travel authorization and called his presence not conducive to public good, whatever that means. The entire Wireless Festival was canceled. All 3 nights gone, sponsorships had pulled out, Pepsi, Diageo, PayPal. Prime Minister Keir Starmer had called the booking deeply concerning. Ye responded and offered to meet with the UK Jewish community leaders. So in the same 7 days that he debuted at number 2 on the Billboard 200, sold out 2 stadium shows for 80,000 people, brought out Lauryn Hill to perform, and turn around and get banned from entering the UK. Now, here is my 606 and Go take. The music is the best work that Ye can make currently. Preacher Man is a standout song. I personally love Father. Punch Drunk has that nice chopped soul that made his ears so legendary. And the Travis Scott reunion, like I mentioned with Father, it's just, I don't know, can't put it in words. But Ye continues to be the most compelling argument against himself that hip hop has ever produced. The talent is undeniable, the consequences are undeniable. Both things are true at the same time. A Bully Deluxe edition has been announced, but no date set. And finger crossed on that, because it's quick to trash a project. Now, this one I want to sit up a little bit more for, because it's a rather interesting one. At number 2, I need everyone in the 606 and Go audience to understand what the full weight. On March 19th at the Blue Note in Los Angeles, during a Talib Kweli concert, Absol stood next to KRS-One and asked for his blessing. He said, "Please tell the people I have your permission and grace to be KRS-Two." KRS-One agreed and said, "You have the blessing. It's a burden, a blessing. The burden that KRS stands for, knowledge reigns supreme. It is the knowledge that leads our lives, the aura that rejects those who are not real. You can't be around me and not be real. You gotta be here. Why would the universe bring you here at this right place, right time? You could have been stopped 100 ways just coming here. You're blessed, carrying the name with honor and respect." That's not just a cosign, that's not just a feature, and that's not a collab. That's a torch pass. KRS-One is one of the living artifacts of what hip-hop was supposed to be, or is to this day in my honest opinion. Not just entertainment, not just a product, not just a content, philosophy, a way of moving through the world with knowledge as foundation. And he stood in a room in Los Angeles and pointed at Absol, an artist from TDE who has spent his entire career building a body of work rooted in consciousness, spirituality, and raw intellectual honesty, and said, "You are the continuation." Here's what makes this moment even bigger than people realize. This wasn't spontaneous per se. At the Red Bull BC1 Cypher in Denver last May, Absol told Vibe magazine, "I'm KRS-Two." He'd been carrying this identity for nearly a year before the official blessing. And now, it's official. Professor Daddy O of Stetsasonic co-signed it publicly on Facebook. The culture received it. Absol has been underrated for a little over a decade. Not by the people who know. They've always known. But by the metrics that the industry uses to measure importance. And honestly, a lot of the hip-hop world, if you're asking me. This moment doesn't change the metrics. It changes something more important than that. It changes the lineage. KRS-Two, remember where you heard it. And for me personally, I'm interested to understand what the what the 2 stands for in KRS-Two, if we know knowledge reigns supreme over nearly everyone. So I wonder what the 2 stands for. Let us know. And number 1, and I need you to understand, this is not a rap beef story. This is a federal kidnapping case. On April 2nd, the Department of Justice announced charges against 9 defendants, including Pooh Shiesty, his father, and fellow Memphis rapper Big 30, for armed kidnapping and robbery of Gucci Mane at a Dallas recording studio on January 10th of 2026. All 9 face kidnapping and conspiracy to kidnap, with the maximum penalty of life in federal prison. Here's what prosecutors allege happened. Pooh Shiesty lured Gucci Mane to Dallas under the pretense of a meeting to discuss his 1017 record contract. Several co-defendants traveled from Memphis. Shiesty's father allegedly rented the car. He allegedly went to Staples to prepare contract termination paperwork. At approximately 3:43 p.m. inside the studio, Shiesty asked to speak privately with Gucci. Big 30 retrieves an AK-style pistol from his duffel bag. Shiesty allegedly pointed it at Gucci Mane and forced him to sign the paperwork. Then, Big 30 recorded Gucci saying he was releasing Shiesty from his contract, and allegedly destroyed his phone immediately after. Shiesty then allegedly took Gucci's wedding ring, watch, earrings, and cash. The other defendants robbed the 2 remaining victims. One was choked to near unconsciousness. The victims were held for over an hour. Here's the details that change everything. At the time of this allegedly happening, Pooh Shiesty was on home confinement with an ankle monitor. He'd been out of federal prison for 3 months after serving 3 years on a firearm charge. His ankle monitor GPS data placed him in the studio. They have surveillance footage, cell phone records, license plate readers, fingerprints, and an off-duty police officer who was security for the Gucci Mane and also witnessed the incident. The defendants posting the allegedly stolen jewelry on social media hours after leaving. Gucci initially cooperated with investigators. His victim statement helped identify the suspects. Then Gucci went live and said, "The only thing I believe in is don't tell the police. Keeping it street is my only rule." The internet erupted. The snitch debate is everywhere right now. Here's what 606 and Go is going to tell you that the conversation is missing. The federal case does not require Gucci's testimony. They have GPS data, they have surveillance footage, they have an off-duty police officer, fingerprints, phone records, and evidence that the chain exists independently. What the story is really about, underneath the headlines, is the business of hip-hop. Pooh Shiesty signed the 1017 Records in 2020. Gucci built him up, promoted him, kept him on a roster when he cleared everyone else during Shiesty's prison bid. He celebrated publicly when Shiesty came home in October. Welcome home, Main Slime. Big 30's attorney in court said that Gucci earned roughly $24 to $25 million on Shiesty music while he sat in prison. Shiesty allegedly had an offer from CMG, Yo Gotti's label, and could not get released from his deal. So if the allegations are true, what happened in that Dallas studio was not just a crime, it was one of the most catastrophic betrayals of mentorship and loyalty the industry has ever seen. Gucci Mane built trap music alongside T.I. and Jeezy respectfully. He is one of the architects of the sound that dominates rap today. He has been through prison, addiction, public humiliation, and came out the other side sober, focused, and still building. And the man he welcomed home 3 months earlier allegedly put a gun to his head over a piece of paper, or multiple pieces of paper. As of today, April 8th, Pooh Shiesty has federal detention hearings scheduled for tomorrow in Dallas. Legal experts say bail is unlikely. He was on home confinement when this allegedly occurred. This story is not over, and 606 and Go will be watching. That's the top 6 in 606 for the week of April 11, 2026. Meek Mill building his LinkedIn empire while never actually leaving X. Boosie dropping 4 albums before springtime and earning every bit of loyalty. J. Cole navigating the press run that showed 4 real versions of himself. Ye still delivering the music, and the UK slamming the door anyway. Ab-Soul becoming KRS-Two. Remember that moment. And Pooh Shiesty facing federal charges for allegedly doing the unthinkable for a man who helped build him up. Hip-hop this week was everything it always was. Brilliant and broken, historic and heartbreaking, all in the same 7 days. Every Friday at 6:06 in the morning, 6 stories, no fillers, just the culture. I'm Doubl. This is 606 and Go. Subscribe if this is your lane, and I'll see you next Friday.